Welcome, friends, to a journey into the deepest mystery of the human heart and its pursuit of the divine. We often speak of the miracles of Padre Pio, the healings, the bilocation, the reading of souls, the sweet perfume of sanctity that followed him. We look at his life and we see a man bathed in the supernatural light of God. But today, we are going to walk a different path. We are going to step into the shadows that existed behind that light. We are going to explore a moment in time when this great saint, who is a beacon of hope for millions, felt completely and utterly lost. Have you ever felt that your prayers were bouncing off the ceiling? Have you ever felt that God, who was once so close, has suddenly become a stranger, locking the door and throwing away the key? Today, we explore the terrifying and beautiful mystery of Padre Pio's wall of bronze, and what it truly means when the soul feels enclosed in a spiritual prison. Before we descend into this cave of desolation with Padre Pio to find the hidden light within, let us take a moment to gather as a family. We know that many of you are carrying burdens that feel like lead weights upon your hearts. Perhaps you too feel a silence where you once heard a voice. I invite you now to leave your prayer requests in the comments below. If the words are too heavy to find, simply write Amen, and we will know. And I ask you, as an act of true charity, to scroll through and find the name of another brother or sister and reply to them with a word of courage. Tell them, I am with you, or God bless you. In this way, we ensure that even in the darkness, no one here walks alone. Now, let us turn our eyes to the monastery of San Giovanni Rotondo. We must transport ourselves back to the years between 1916 and 1918. The world outside is tearing itself apart in the First World War. There is chaos, death, and uncertainty gripping the globe. But inside the heart of the young Capuchin friar, a war of a different kind is raging. A silent, invisible war that is perhaps even more violent than the shelling on the battlefronts. We tend to think of saints as people who live in a constant state of spiritual high, always smiling, always feeling the warm embrace of Jesus. We imagine their prayer life is easy, a continuous stream of delight and consolation. But the reality of Padre Pio's life during these years shatters that illusion. Based on his own letters, specifically those written in the solitude of 1916 and the crushing weight of 1918, we find a man who is not basking in light, but drowning in darkness. He describes his soul as being cast into a dark prison cell. This is not a metaphor he uses lightly. Imagine a dungeon, deep underground, where the air is stale and no ray of sunlight ever penetrates. This is where Padre Pio felt his soul resided. He writes of a cave of desolation. When you are in a cave, your vision is limited. You cannot see the horizon. You cannot see the path ahead or the path behind. You are enclosed. The stone surrounds you. But the most terrifying image he gives us is that of the wall of bronze. He feels that between him and God, a massive, impenetrable wall has been erected. It is not made of wood, which might rot, nor of stone, which might crack. It is bronze, cold, hard, metallic, and enduring. He feels enclosed by this wall, trapped in a horrid prison, not for a day or a week, but, as his fear tells him, forever. Can you imagine the terror of such a state? This is a man whose entire life, from childhood, was dedicated to one thing, the love of God. He gave up the world, he gave up a family, he gave up his health, all to possess God. And now, having given everything, he feels that God has turned his back. He writes that he no longer knows God. This is a staggering admission for a saint. He says that God seems like an unidentified, absent person. Think of the person you love most in the world. Now imagine waking up one day, looking at them, and realizing they are a complete stranger. Imagine reaching out to hold their hand, and they pull away, looking at you with no recognition. This is the spiritual abandonment Padre Pio faced. God, who was his father, his brother, his spouse, had become a stranger. In his anguish, he cries out the words of the psalmist, the very words Christ screamed from the cross. My God, why have you forsaken me?" He screams this in the silence of his cell. He screams this in the depths of his heart during Mass. And what is the response? Silence, not a whisper, not a breeze. As he describes it, he hears no voice, not even an echo. It is as if his prayers are hurled against that wall of bronze and fall dead at his feet. The confusion this causes is paralyzing. You must understand, Padre Pio was a master of theology. He knew the teachings of the Church. But in this state of the dark night, knowledge in the head does not comfort the heart. He confesses that he cannot distinguish whether he is in hell or purgatory. The pain of loss is so severe that it mimics the eternal separation of the damned. He feels separated from God, and for a soul that loves, this is the ultimate torture. He writes that this separation causes him more pain than the fires of hell itself. Why? Because in hell, the souls hate God. They do not want him. But Padre Pio, in the midst of this torture, still desires to love God. That is the cruelty of the trial. His heart is burning with a desire for the very thing that seems to be rejecting him. He is thirsty, dying of thirst, standing in the middle of a desert, remembering the taste of water, but finding only sand. This spiritual state brings about a terrible paralysis. He describes his will as being hardened like a rock. This doesn't mean he was stubborn against God. It means he felt spiritually numb. He tries to meditate, but his mind is a blank slate. He tries to find God in creation, looking at the mountains, the sky, the flowers, but they are empty to him. He tries to find God in his memory, recalling the sweet moments of the past, but those memories are covered in fog. He fails. He feels he is floating in the dark, deprived of all light and life. He is a ship adrift in a black ocean, with no stars to guide him and no wind to fill his sails. Why? We must ask this question. Why would God treat his beloved servant this way? Why would he take a soul so pure and crush it under such a heavy silence? It seems cruel. It seems unfair. If we judged by human standards, we would say that God has indeed abandoned him. But we are looking at the tapestry from the back side, where the threads are tangled and the picture is unclear. This dark night of the soul, as St. John of the Cross called it, is not a punishment. It is a surgery. Imagine a glass filled with water. If you want to fill it with the finest wine, you must first empty the water. You must empty it completely to the very last drop. If even a drop of the old water remains, the wine will be diluted. Padre Pio was being prepared to carry the wounds of Christ, the stigmata, which he would receive visibly in 1918, right at the culmination of this dark period. To carry the wounds of God, one must be emptied of everything that is human. When we pray and feel good, we often are loving the feeling of God, not God himself. We love the comfort, the peace, the reassurance. We are like children who love our parents because they give us candy. But what happens when the candy stops? Do we still love the parent? God removed every consolation from Padre Pio to purify his love. He wanted Pio to love him not because it felt good, but simply because he is God. This wall of bronze was testing the friar's fidelity. Would he stay at his post? Would he continue to pray? Would he continue to serve? Or would he quit because the paycheck of spiritual good feelings had stopped? And here is the miracle. Padre Pio stayed. Despite feeling that he was in a prison, despite feeling that God was a stranger, despite the paralysis and the darkness, he did not leave the altar. He did not leave the confessional. He walked through the dark, hands outstretched, trusting in a God he could not feel. This creates a profound lesson for us. In our modern world, we are addicted to feelings. We judge the quality of our faith by how good we feel during worship. If we don't cry tears of joy, we think the Spirit isn't moving. If we don't hear a clear voice, we think God is angry. Padre Pio's experience teaches us that faith and feeling are two different things. True faith often begins where feelings end. When Padre Pio says he is floating in the dark, he is actually in the safest place possible. When you are floating, you are not supporting yourself. The ocean is supporting you. In the darkness, he was being carried by God, though he did not know it. The wall of bronze, he perceived, was actually the chest of Christ, so close to his eyes that he could not focus on it, blocking out everything else. Let us look closer at the letter from 1916. He speaks of this cave. A cave is a place of burial, and indeed the old man, the earthly part of Padre Pio, was dying. He had to die to his own will, his own understanding, his own desire for spiritual pleasure. It is a painful death. It feels like you are losing your mind. He describes a lethargy, a heaviness, where even the simplest prayer feels like lifting a boulder. Have you ever felt that? Have you ever sat down to pray and felt a wave of exhaustion, a boredom so intense it feels physical? You think, I am a bad Christian, I am failing. But listen to Padre Pio. He felt this 1,000 times more intensely. He felt his will was rock, and yet he remained. That is the victory. The victory isn't in the feeling of lightness. The victory is in the remaining. Then, moving to the letter of 1918, the imagery shifts to the stranger. This is arguably the most painful aspect. For a soul that has known intimacy, estrangement is agony. It is a form of grief. He is grieving the loss of the perceived presence of God. He calls out, "Who are you? Where have you gone?" During this time, the devil would whisper to him. The enemy would say, "See, he has left you. You are a fraud. You are destined for hell. Give up." The confusion between hell and purgatory that Pio mentions is the devil's playground. The enemy tries to convince the suffering soul that this darkness is a sign of God's hatred. But Padre Pio, though paralyzed in his feelings, held on with his intellect and his obedience. He clung to his spiritual directors. He wrote to them, "I am dead, I am lost, help me." And they would write back, "You are not lost. You are closer to him than ever. Keep walking." This shows us the vital importance of community and guidance. When we cannot see the road, we must trust the map given to us by others. The wall of bronze eventually did open, but it didn't open to a field of flowers. It opened to the cross. In September 1918, the darkness culminated in the piercing of his hands, feet, and side. The prison cell became the bridal chamber where he was united with the crucified Christ. The silence was broken not by a voice of comfort, but by a commission to suffer with love. We must understand that for Padre Pio, the darkness was not an accident. It was a vocation. He was called to experience the abandonment of Christ on the cross so that he could comfort those who feel abandoned. When he sat in the confessional years later, and a soul would come to him weeping, saying, "Father, I cannot find God, I am in darkness," Padre Pio did not offer empty platitudes. He knew that darkness. He had lived in that cave. He had touched that bronze wall. He could say to them with authority, "I know, and I tell you, he is there." There is a profound mystery here regarding the nature of hell that he mentions. He felt the pain of hell, the absence of God, but with the heart of heaven, the desire for God. This tension stretched his soul until it was vast enough to embrace the whole world. A small cup cannot hold the ocean. God had to stretch Padre Pio, and stretching is painful. The paralysis he felt was the stillness of a soul being worked on by the divine sculptor. When you are being chiseled, you cannot move. You must hold still. The hardening of the will was actually a stabilizing, a grounding, so he would not be shaken by the winds of emotion. So, what does this mean for us today in our lives? It means that when you feel the wall of bronze closing you in, you must not panic. when your prayers echo back to you, when the church feels cold and the scriptures feel dry, do not assume you have lost your way. Do not assume God is angry. You might just be standing at the threshold of a deeper relationship. God might be treating you as a mature friend rather than a small child. He is trusting you with his silence. He is asking, "Do you love me, or do you only love the gifts I give you?" If you feel you are in a dark prison cell, remember Padre Pio. Remember that this prison is often the waiting room for a miracle. The feeling of paralysis, of floating in the dark, is a call to surrender. Stop thrashing. Stop trying to force the feelings to come back. Just float. Trust the ocean of his mercy, even if it is pitch black. When Padre Pio felt he was staring at a stranger, he was actually staring into the face of a God who is beyond our comprehension. Sometimes, we create a small idol of God in our minds, a God who always answers yes, a God who always makes us feel warm. When the true God shows up, he shatters that idol, and the shattering hurts. It feels like abandonment, but it is actually a revelation. As we reflect on these letters from 1916 and 1918, let us look at our own walls of bronze. Perhaps it is a chronic illness that won't go away. Perhaps it is a grief that never fades. Perhaps it is a persistent sin you are fighting, or a family member who has turned away. These are your walls. They feel impenetrable. You bang your fists against them and they do not move. Padre Pio teaches us to stop banging on the wall and instead to kneel before it, to accept the limitation, to say, "Lord, if this darkness is where you want me, then I will praise you in the dark. If this silence is your voice, I will listen to the silence." This is the heroism of the saints. It is not in the levitation or the miracles. It is in the endurance of the silence. It is in the refusal to let go of the hem of his garment, even when he seems to be walking away. Padre Pio eventually emerged from this specific intensity of the dark night, though suffering remained his companion throughout his life. But he emerged with a capacity to love that changed the world. The wall did not crush him, it forged him. The prison did not trap him, it liberated him from himself. So, my friends, if you are floating in the dark today, take heart. You are in good company. You are drifting in the same waters where Padre Pio floated. Do not be afraid of the silence. Do not fear the stranger, for the stranger is just the Savior in disguise, waiting for your eyes to adjust to the light that is so bright, it looks like darkness. Let us close with this thought to carry with us. The wall of bronze is not there to keep you out. It is there to keep you close, to enclose you in a space where only you and he exist, stripped of all distractions, stripped of all shallow comforts, leaving only the raw, powerful, and terrifying reality of love. May we all have the courage to endure our own nights, knowing that the dawn that follows is eternal. Thank you for walking this path of shadow and light with us today. If this story of Padre Pio's hidden suffering has touched your heart, if it has given you a new perspective on your own struggles, please share this with someone who is going through a hard time. Subscribe to join our community of prayer and reflection. And remember, check the comments, find a prayer request, and leave a word of hope. Until next time, may you find God not only in the light, but especially in the dark.